it's like with the fire department, and, you know, if you're on duty and we get paged to a rollover and, you know, Bastion's Building Center or something, you're there to secure the scene along with the fire department and the ambulance and traffic control, and there's no county or state patrol coming for a little while.
Right.
So, okay.
I had a question, the closest deputy say, it's one station in Choice usually, and Naval and Canton share a deputy, so they would be coming from who knows where.
They may come from Preston, they may dispatch them from Spring Valley, it just depends on where they are.
So time-wise, it could be anywhere from half hour to 2 hours. So.
Right.
What, you know, what we can't do is tell the sheriff, don't dispatch our police. So they look on their board and they say, who's the closest to handle this call, and when it's us, we get dispatched and we go. Right now, we're not getting compensated for that. But this is a way to at least, you know, bring us something.
How many calls do you go through in a year time? Can you figure that out?
For in the village?
Yeah.
I don't have that number with me.
Roughly, what do you think it'd be? 10, 15?
In the past, you know, in 2000, we had approximately 27 non-resident calls. And it's ranged from 14 to 7 to 4 to 0. So, I mean, it could be all over the place. It's not something that, you know, I drum up the business. It's just when someone dials 911, they need us. That's how we get sent there. But if I may too, Robert, the deputy lives in Choice. He actually works in Harmony, Mabel, Canton. He probably wouldn't be the one who would even respond to Rushford.
Yeah. Is there another one out there, Choice? Is it up by Pedersen?
Yep. But he does all the...
George?
D. George does all the
Oh,
investigations. He's their captain.
Captain, yeah.
So there's 2 of them there.
Oh, he's been promoted to captain already?
He's third in command up there.
Whoa.
Yep. Agree.
What did you learn about insurance? What's the impact of this on our liability or any, I guess, insurance costs?
I don't believe that there'll be any increase there. The league is actually thankful that we're doing this. The earlier language that we had, I didn't know this, but it set it up so that if there was a lawsuit arriving out of one of our officers' actions, the village would have an attorney and we would have a league attorney. So that's why when I sent this up for their final review, they said, no, we don't, that's a mess. We don't want that. We just want one. So that's why we're holding the village harmless. We had language in an earlier version where they held us harmless back, and it just doesn't work that way for them. Since we're both insured by the League of Minnesota Cities, we kind of had to take their lead as to how they wanted that language to look.
You're contracting just like with ambulance and fire, so we have to be the professional, skilled, trained, and we're just contracting for services, so we have the same liability that we always have.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, it shouldn't go up. It may go up for them a little bit, but I doubt it.
Any other questions?
Is that the future? The mill rate sort of scenario, do you think?
This is an hourly rate.
I don't think so.
Mill rate.
But I
might
mean
be-
public safety in general,
Not for
with
police.
ambulance, fire, and police.
I don't think so, honestly, because I don't think that it's, I don't, when you dig into the compensation, a situation like Lanesboro and Preston is probably the right one. The problem is, you know, for the village to go in full like that, you know, their budget isn't prepared for that. So, is it all or nothing? You know, we're still getting called. So,
Right.
it's kind of an internal
And I
step.
guess I'm just wondering, as the, you know, like, up past Dave Hundorf's, all those homes that have been built up there, you know, all these little valleys, as they fill up with subdivisions, basically, is that gonna require a completely different policing model.
It might, and we may get to the point where we have to go back to them and say, this isn't gonna work for us. Nor will it work for them if we're getting called out all the time. So, to me, it's an interim step. How long it takes to get to that other area really depends on the city of Rushford and how long we wanna go on with this. But also to the residents of the village who may say, we want that patrolling, we wanna have an increased presence. And then we'd have to look at a different model. Then I think we'd have to look at more of a rate that's, if we have to add another officer, what is that cost? And that should be borne by the other community.
But just expanding the patrol time on the vehicles.
Correct.
At some point, their homeowners or business owners may want that routine patrol. They may want, if they get more businesses, you know, they may want their door checks and people might
It's sad to
just
say
want
too,
to
but
drive by.
if something bad has to happen before someone to say, oh my, there's a gap here, and we need to fix it. You know, and then you look at like Lanesboro, like Steve said, Lanesboro and Preston, they have 3 full-time officers, and each one of them has a take-home car. That way they can respond wherever that officer is from to their calls. So.
And I think the council also needs to be aware that this changes things for us as well. Although it could have happened at any time, but you could be out of town answering a call in the village and something happens here. And then the taxpayers here might be saying, well, you know, why is our officer over there? Should, you know, we're paying for him, should have been over here. So there's gonna be a little
If
bit.
you're taking somebody to Preston, I know
Yep.
instances when Houston County deputies have made it back before our own car could make it.
And so part of the discussion with the sheriff was, look, when we're active like that, you need to bring somebody over here. You need to backfill and help us out. We're always backing you guys up. You know, you need to extend that courtesy to us as well, and he promised that he would do what he could to improve that. You know, the $41 an hour is a formula that Kathy came up with that I'm comfortable with. It's not perfect, it doesn't capture the experience and all of the training that's gone in, but I think it's a fair
It's a start.
start. And it's better than what we're getting right now.
It's not paying for the charisma of our chief.
You have to put a couple zeros up, or before it, yeah.
Maybe that's the point.
Decimal point.
I think it's a good start, it's a step in the right direction, so if you guys are comfortable with it, mainly you, Adam, if you're comfortable with it, that's,
I would have to say that it's a good start, and you know, I'm ready to move forward. So.
I move we approve it.
Motion by Mr. Hansi, second by Mr. Colbinson. Any other questions?
When will this take effect?
Well, they have to approve it too, sign it, so it might not be till March.
They haven't seen the
February,
new,
March. Yes, they have seen the new.
they have seen the.
Their
new
council
contract.
hasn't voted on the new one though, they
Oh,
voted
okay.
on the old one.
Did they approve the old one?
Were there any other
No.
questions from the village? Or any other things that came up? That could still come up?
I don't think so. They did ask the chief to come by once a month for the first quarter that it's, and, those are always, can be dicey, so we don't, but they're clear again, language in here. Don't question the calls and don't ask specifics about the calls, you know. So as long as that works, and then quarterly thereafter, once a quarter, to discuss trends and see how it's working and
Sure.
if there needs to be changes. So
That seems reasonable.
opening that communication thing
Yeah.
up and we won't charge them for that.
Well, that's good for them to, cause
Yeah.
we take for granted some of the things that Adam just takes care of in town here when he knows something's going on. So,
Yeah.
and that's,